Happy Monday. Welcome back, everybody, to the Resistance broadcast. I'm John. Thanks so much for joining us today. I can't talk about it a lot, but I'll just say this. This podcast episode is going to blow your mind. That's all I can say. I can't say anything else. Exclusive.
That
Just
feels
kidding.
like every tweet I see online. I can't talk about this thing tomorrow, but
right.
Just
but
wait.
I want you to know so you can like my tweet. So welcome, everybody. This is our news show. James and Lacey with me, as always. Real quick, I got stung in the neck by a bee today. So I the attempt on my life has left me scarred and deformed.
Do you know what's crazy that you bring that up?
Lacey's laughing.
I know.
I could have died.
Dude, you know what's crazy that you bring that up? You know what I did on Friday night?
Did you get stung by a bee?
No, my mother-in-law did, and she had a bad reaction to it. And we called 911, and she had to go to the hospital. We had an ambulance and everything in our house.
James.
No, I understand. I think it's just really crazy that John said, I got stung by a bee and brought that up. Yeah, she got stung, and we had to go to the hospital. It was pretty crazy.
She's all good now?
Yes, everything was fine.
That's good.
You know, I was not there. I watched the kids. It was my wife and my sister-in-law that went, but yeah, everything's fine. It was just like a freak out thing. And in fact, earlier she was talking like 2 weeks ago or something, how she used to have allergic reactions to bees or something, but she just doesn't anymore. She hasn't in a long time.
This took a terrible turn at a moment.
It believe me, it's totally fine. But
it's funny when it happens to me.
I just thought it was crazy that you're like, I got stung by a bee, and I was like, funny you should say that. My big event.
Not just a bee, he gets stung in the neck.
Yeah, right here.
Oh, like the dart in old school kind of.
Yeah, like the jugular. Like he went for it. And I was playing softball. I was out in the field and stuff. I was like, what is that? And then I saw the bee fall to the ground. So,
and everybody was like, are you okay, John? You're like, I think I got stung by a bee.
I'm gonna dart your neck. Yeah. Well, I had a beer and like in between innings, and I was holding it up against my neck. They're like, what happened to you? I'm like, stung by a bee.
I remember one of the most embarrassing things in my life was 5th grade. I finally got invited to like the cool kid birthday party. I was so excited.
Nice.
And I was so pumped to be invited to the cool kid birthday party, and we were all playing outside, and someone stepped on a wasp nest or something. We were running around.
God.
And a nest, and it stung. Like they all swarmed and everybody freaked out, but I got stung right here. Like right
in the bridge of the nose?
My whole face blew up like a balloon. Like
God.
I looked like Quasimodo.
Oh my god.
So did you go to the 6th grade cool party?
No, I was not invited to the 6th grade.
That was it.
That was it. My one chance, and I failed.
What happened?
But I remember the girl's dad was a doctor, and so he's like, everything's okay, and he like made up this like very technical paste in his kitchen.
Were other kids not stung?
Huh?
Were other kids stung?
Yeah, but not as bad as mine, where it was like so close to my eye.
Yeah.
So like there I was like on her kitchen counter, like they were like slathering.
Wow.
Gosh.
Oh
well,
God, not the bees.
But all that to say, yeah, that was my favorite.
Well,
my brother's favorite moment in Tommy Boy when they drive off and they go bees.
Oh yeah.
I was talking about Wicker Man with Nick Cage, not the bees.
Gotcha.
I was thinking of
completely left turn, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, so real quick before we get into the news, there's not much to this, so we'll just kind of warm the engines with this. That Robert Rodriguez is calling his shot, and pretty much so confident with the Book of Boba Fett that he is just out there right now saying it's going to blow people's minds. A very risky thing to say, because now Star Wars fans already overhype things because we get so excited about it, right? And, you know, it's just the nature of being a fan. He has now met that, and now the reality of it needs to hit it, right? Or else people are going to be like, man, that guy said that didn't blow my mind. That guy said it was going to have my mind blown.
So he's basically the me of Star Wars directors.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
10 out of 10 on this show.
10 out of 10. You can't get any better.
Lacey, do you think, like, I mean, I like Robert Rodriguez. I don't know his whole catalog, but I liked what he did with Boba Fett in The Mandalorian and his episode specifically, and how he just like went back to like really the basics. And he seems to be a real fan of making films in old school ways, and he seems to have gotten it then. So do you think this is a risky thing to say, knowing how Star Wars fans are, or do you think that, man, then this thing probably is going to crush? Like, what do you think when you hear those statements from Robert Rodriguez, like 3 months away now that we're in September from the Book of Boba Fett?
So I think in general, Robert Rodriguez is super talented, and everything that he's made has been cool, even though it's very specific to certain genres. I think Alita Battle Angel was very cool, and I enjoyed it. I don't think it's like the best movie ever made, but I think he was one of those people that once again was hyping up his own stuff. Like, this movie's amazing. And there were a lot of people that didn't like it, and there were a lot of people that liked it. So I think that there's got to be this understanding that from his perspective as a Star Wars fan and what he's doing, he thinks it's awesome. And I trust that based on his episode of Boba Fett, of Mandalorian with Boba Fett, and how he'd handled it, that I trust his judgment. However, I also leave a little bit of room of, hey, maybe there is a little bit of you will like this but not like this type of stuff.
Yeah. So James, do you think
as long as there's no beef.
What's the payoff for him to say something like this? You know what I'm saying?
I liked that he said it. I know it's not typical,
I do too.
and
I
understand your gamble approach because the world does tend to overhype things. But it really got me thinking about, how I feel about the Book of Boba Fett. And right now, it's kind of interesting. I like the little thing they put at the end of The Mandalorian. I think that looks cool. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I'm ready to watch that. But it didn't get me like pumped, I saw it and I was like, that's cool, I can't wait for that to come out. But in my head, I'm kind of like underhyping it. I'm like, I'm probably gonna like that show. It's probably gonna be a 7.5 every episode. Now what?
You're a huge Bib Fortuna fan, so
of course. So I was very disappointed from the get-go. No.
Right.
But the thing is like him saying that now, it made me think, maybe I'm gonna enjoy this, like really enjoy this, and maybe it is gonna be a lot cooler and have episodes where we are as a collective fan base just going like, that was awesome, man, that was really cool. And I'm not writing anything in my head for how I think it's gonna go, but him saying like, I'm allowed to talk it up, I'm allowed to overhype it because it delivers, that excites me. It does.
All right. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Like I said, now that we're in September, well, not yet. We'll be in 2 days. We'll be in September. So really, it's 3 months away. So we'll see for ourselves when that thing comes out in a few short months here. But there wasn't much to that, so figured we would warm the engines there. And now we will hand it over to James to really get into the legit news in Resistance Report. What is going on, buddy?
It's the Resistance.
Well, yeah, we definitely have some legit news this week, as Star Wars Newsnet has an exclusive on the Kenobi show. We got a couple of images that number one was a piece of actual art for the show, and then there were a couple other photos that we had that we actually commissioned artists to kind of recreate so that we weren't posting the exact images. But those pictures are available, and what they depict is what we kind of assume maybe gives us a little bit of an answer, a peek to how they're going to handle Hayden Christensen being Darth Vader in this show, because as you know, Darth Vader wears a helmet. So why do we need to bring back Hayden Christensen? Well, in this artwork, we see him, spoilers ahead, if you want to avoid it completely, jump in later in the show. We see him kind of how we saw him in Rogue One. He's all tied up. He's got a mask on his face. You're probably going to see his eyes. He's got cuts and other openings and stuff in his chest and in his body. And then we have images of the tube, similar to what we've seen in Rogue One, and the mask that he's actually wearing, which is also similar to what we've seen in Rogue One. But these were on the set. So this is how we know they're going to be incorporating these props and how it ties in with Hayden Christensen, the actor portraying the character of Darth Vader. John, you are a lead, a big guy over there at Star Wars Newsnet. Talk a little bit about this story. How did it come to be? And what are we looking at here?
Yeah, so we, every once in a while, people do reach out to us and with information and that sort of thing. And sometimes we look into it and we're like, this is bunk. And when we saw this stuff, we were like, this is not bunk. So, it's that line that I talk about where it's like, it is spoilery to an extent, but at the same time, it's not one of those like, we saw the script of The Force Awakens and Han Solo dies. You know what I mean? So I think this is a cool story, and I love that it affirms the reason why they brought back Hayden. But yeah, so having seen, the photos, and you got the back to tank, which is absolutely gigantic. And I love that our artist was smart enough to because I don't know if the actual photo had a ladder in it, but I don't know if he did that to scale it so you can see how big this thing is. But
that's a good point.
And then the mask
stairway
and stuff
in the back, doors.
Yeah, and then obviously the actual concept art, seeing Hayden Christensen in all hooked up to these machines and stuff like that. It's like I wrote in the article. If you haven't checked it out yet, go to StarWarsNewsNet.com. But I would for a while, we did an episode about a month or so ago saying is he going to be maskless in this show? Because I couldn't wrap my head around why they were bringing back Hayden Christensen to play Darth Vader, because those were the exact words said by Kathleen Kennedy. He's returning to play Darth Vader for the rematch of the century. So that's present time in the show. He's playing Darth Vader because they used Spencer Wilding and Daniel Naprue, two hulking big dudes, 6'6", 6'7", to play Darth Vader in the suit in Rogue One. You obviously have the voice of James Earl Jones, we assume is coming back for this show. Not confirmed yet. So him coming back as Darth Vader, you got to think man, he's got to be maskless in this thing at some point. And I think they're going to go beyond, and this is me speculating now. There's the news. We see what he's going to look like hooked up outside of his suit. The back to tank is back, but I think this time it's going to be Hayden in the tank. And if Deborah Chow wants to put her foot on the gas and really delve into the layers of Darth Vader and show him kind of pained and what he has to go through on a day-to-day basis to survive in this state that Kenobi left him in, that is very compelling storytelling. It can really add to the drama of not only the character of Darth Vader, which we haven't really seen that aspect of his torture and torment aside from comics until if we see it in live action here, but also what that implications are between him facing off against Obi-Wan again. And I think, and this is just speculation on my part, that we're going to see him either unmasked going face to face with Obi-Wan Kenobi to really elevate the drama between those two, him having to look him in the eyes again, because we are already getting Vader in full costume versus Obi-Wan, obviously in A New Hope. This would be a different twist on that, and having him have to face him face to face where it's Hayden and Ewan, you can't achieve that reunion and that drama if he's under the full Vader costume, because even in some parts you'd be like, is that a stunt man? Is that, if you see Hayden Christensen in sort of a Vader costume but has the breathing thing instead of the mask, or maybe he just takes his helmet off to see well, look what you did to me. That's theater, man. That's going to be peak drama, and it'll make Revenge of the Sith even better to rewatch. So all these things are swirling in my head, but now, at least with these images that we have, it's a part of the justification of why they went back and got Hayden Christensen, which is a decision they opted to not do for Rogue One. So there's clearly a reason why they did it, and obviously here's why we think they did.
Yeah, Lacey, what was your reaction when you saw the photos? Did you think it was too spoilery, or what was going on in your mind when you saw all this?
So I'm going to admit I was a little nervous looking at them because I'm the person, which admittedly I wasn't this person a few years ago, but I am now, just based on what's happened with The Mandalorian. Of looking at spoilers and leaks and stuff, and the stuff that happened with the Rise of Skywalker, where the whole script leaked the summer prior. It's just a lot of stuff that you're I want to go in fresh, and I want to experience the stuff how the creators wanted to, especially after we talked about last week with the gallery episode with Jon Favreau and everybody freaking out about Luke Skywalker getting out. But so I was a little nervous. I did look at the photos because that's part of my job here is to talk about these things. But I don't think that they're very spoilery in the sense of things you wouldn't expect. Because like John said, I think from the conversations we had weeks ago and just like conversations as Star Wars fans in general, since they announced Hayden was coming back, I think you had to assume there was a reason why. And that had to be because his mask was going to come off at some point. Because like John said, you know, and James brought this up too, with Rogue One, they had other people and they did show him with his mask off, but it's like from behind. So you don't really see that it's not Hayden. But if they really want the impact of everything that's happened to Anakin Skywalker, they're going to need his eyes. We talked about this last week with The Mandalorian. Like, the eyes are the hardest thing to do in visual effects and everything like that because, like they said in the gallery, the human face is something that we are very, very experts on as humans. Like, everybody can read emotion very well and read people and human face and characteristics. So if they want to have the impact of an emotional scene of Darth Vader removing his helmet to Obi-Wan Kenobi, they need to bring back Hayden. And yes, they need to remove the helmet because you're not going to get that same moment of torture and like just what has happened to this man is kind of crazy if you think about all the things that happened to him. And yet he's still living. He's still breathing and surviving and causing mayhem. So yeah, no, the pictures aren't that bad. So even if you're a little like me where you're like, I don't want to see anything, it's nothing that you wouldn't assume. Like to me, it looked like,
I already told him.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying like how I felt when I saw it. Like to me, it looked like kind of like fan art, like someone like, oh, this is what I would think it would look like. That's what it looked like to me. Yeah. So that's why it's not that spoilery. But I think this is going to be a really cool scene. It's one of those kind of like, it gets into that horror genre for Star Wars, kind of like the spider episode with Mandalorian where you're like, oh, I don't know if I like this. But like you need it because you need that to get to the sense of like how big of a deal it is that this guy is like the bad guy. But then like he is completely scarred. He is a machine. But yeah, it's cool. I hope I can't wait to see it.
I think it's interesting that you guys both brought up The Mandalorian, considering that is a show where the lead character basically wore a helmet the entire time.
And absolutely.
No emotional whatever, and they were still able to pull it off. So again, that alludes to like Kenobi is going to be the main character of the show. So having Darth Vader be there occasionally and still being able to pull out emotional beats, they've already done that. Again, why do you need Hayden? Maybe helmetless is the right term here as opposed to maskless, because it looks like he probably will still keep this thing on the entire time.
Helmetless.
Yeah. Well, we've all been saying it. We've been saying maskless the whole time, but you know, we see him with this thing on, and that's part of what we had commissioned here is this mask that he's wearing. Now, again, that looks like something he might be wearing inside the Bacta tank because it looks like it's more or
like
less
a breathing apparatus,
similar to like what Luke was wearing in Empire. And not to mention, like I said at the beginning of this whole thing when I was kind of explaining the photos, it seems very Rogue One. Like we've almost already got this. You can see they have props and stuff that kind of look very similar to this as well. But also watching this and having, if it is true that he's going to take off that portion of his helmet to reveal his face, feels very Rebels to me, in the same sense of it wasn't Anakin until we start to see his face.
Good point.
Then all of a sudden you start to hear the voice. So pulling that thing off, even that little bit that was revealed with his eye released enough of his regular voice. So I think maybe even
like
taking
they did
that
with
thing
Phasma
off,
too. Yeah,
you could hear Hayden Christensen speak and not like the deep Darth Vader, James Earl Jones voice during whatever segments we see him with that off. That would be pretty interesting as well.
Yeah. So in the article, I sort of alluded to that scene too. And I said, it's possible Obi-Wan could damage his mask, but I feel like that'd be too similar to that battle with Ahsoka. This would be cool. I don't think this is going to happen, but what if they finally like this build up and we see Vader and we see Kenobi and then they're like episode 5 out of 6 or whatever, they finally get face to face. The meeting is finally here, and Vader does one of those like Predator reveals where he takes off his helmet and his mask for a moment just so Obi-Wan can see him. That would be insane. Like if he voluntarily takes it off.
Do you think it's going to take away from, because I remember you had said this a couple times like years ago about how, Obi-Wan says that's not a thing Vader says he hasn't felt that presence. Yeah. Do you, because your concern was that it was going to take away from that. Do you still have that concern? Because the closer we're getting to Kenobi,
you seem like that this is a cool idea now.
Well, no. So I think it's there. The stages of grief where I was upset at first when they were doing this, and now I've accepted it. So now that I know that they're going to do it because Kathleen Kennedy said he's coming back for the rematch of the century. Like these two they're seeing each other. Like this is happening.
I also wanted to bring that up
because we also know we won't get another good one for another 100 years.
But Lacey, you're right.
But I wanted to bring that up though, and I even said it myself that I've changed over the years. I think it's very fun for listeners and for ourselves to see over the years how we change on opinions with things, and opinions are always changing. And I mean, I'm the same way with leaks and stuff. It's like you just change as a fan, and it's just always interesting to see.
You used to like leaks because you didn't like the anxiety of watching. You said that was your biggest thing. I still have
that anxiety. I still watch the same things over and over and over again because I don't like being surprised.
But here's the thing about this. Like, I adjust based on the facts when it comes to being a Star Wars fan. I'm not a fan that's in denial of things. Does it still bother me that it's no longer when he left him on Mustafar when Vader says a presence I've not felt since? Yes, it does. But I will adjust because this is what's going on now. I'm not. It was more like,
how do you think they're going to handle that? More than like, hey, John, what did you think when he said
No,
this?
yeah. I think they're just going to say like a presence I haven't felt since 10 years ago now as opposed to 20.
5 years.
Yeah. So
that
5 years, 3 months.
Has always been open-ended enough that
but
it would be very easy to say anything there,
Right.
They obviously go in, and Story Group is probably a part of this, analyzing the continuity. So they probably looked at that scene. They're like, all right, how do we make sure this still works?
Right.
And that sort of thing. So now maybe something will happen when they face each other where, you got to expect maybe something big happens. Does Vader best Kenobi this time? You know how I like the thing where one person wins the first one, another person wins the second one, and the third one's up for grabs. I said that about Rey and Kylo Ren. Obi-Wan obviously won the first one. What if Vader gets the upper hand this time and that weakens Obi-Wan, and that's how he gets old and he ages more?
Yeah, maybe.
And then when he sees him again, he says, "Your powers are weak, old man." Like that type of stuff could start having a little more meaning. So maybe he's saying a presence I haven't felt since I beat the living crap out of that guy 10 years ago or something.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
They'll make it work. I was hoping that they weren't going to do it, but now that I know they are, I'm adjusting and we're moving forward. And I think they'll still make it cool. And maybe they'll even enhance that Obi-Wan Vader fight that James laughs about all the time in A New Hope. When they're just clanging their sticks back and forth.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. So they'll have to, they'll really have to explain how Obi-Wan, who's probably going to be pretty badass in this show.
I mean, look at Ewan's guns that he's posting on social media when he's at the gym.
Right, so he has to go from that to 10 years later be Alec Guinness being like, "Come here, little friend, don't be afraid." I think Vader's going to do something to really weaken Obi-Wan in this series, and we're going to see Obi-Wan pretty banged up by the end of it. So cool. They'll make it work.
You know what's funny about that lightsaber fight we were just describing? It actually looks like they handed the actors real lightsabers. And they're like,
and they were afraid to hurt.
Yeah, they're like trying to hit him. And they just did first take.
That's true. That is true. That's what I would do. I'd be like,
even the ones you see on YouTube that are like, this is as close as we can get right now to a proto saber kind of thing. I'm like, that thing is so dangerous.
It's a stick of lava.
Yes. It's just absolutely insane. Well, that's awesome, guys. Like we said before, if you want to go check out the photos, they are there on Star Wars Newsnet, so you can go and take a look for yourself. Get excited about the Obi-Wan Kenobi
And real quick, thanks. At the top of the article, we had asked people, please don't share these photos publicly, because some people don't want to know anything. And most people really respected that and appreciate that. Unfortunately, there were some Star Wars based Twitter accounts that are like, here's all these photos in a tweet. And that sucks, man, because, we asked people not to do that and they still did it. It's a bummer, but just, try to respect people. And if people ask, you go inside the article, you can see them. Otherwise, you're safe and you're good to go. If people don't share things publicly, then people are fine. So just try to respect your fellow fans.
Mm-hmm. So we finally have an update on the Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, as the new trailer has dropped. This comes like a year, I think, since the last time we saw anything of this. And even as the trailer dropped, they're like, they say at the end, spring 2022, and people are like, are you serious? Like, this should be done and like in the bag. Why? Like, at what point was this not able to make it for the holiday season this year? It's like they still had to push it into the next season. And by the time Christmas comes around next year, it's going to be, kids are already going to have it, or whatever, or it will have forgotten by then.
It is
the
interesting.
Next big
Spring,
video
yeah.
game. Yeah, spring's just a weird time to drop a big kid-friendly Star Wars game like this that encompasses the entire saga. That being said, though, the trailer is out. Looked like a lot of fun. Lacey, what were your thoughts checking out the trailer? And you're a little bit of a gamer. Is this something you would be interested in picking up?
Little bit of a gamer. Yeah, I'm a gamer sometimes. So here's the thing. First of all, why are they using the Force Awakens trailer music? That's what I want to know.
Pulled me right out of it. Bad trailer.
Not that it was a bad trailer, but I was like,
bad choice for a trailer. Yeah.
I was just very surprised because I love that trailer. That's one of my favorite trailers that they've ever made for Star Wars, if we were going to like rank them. So when I heard that music, I was like, and I could just hear the lines, Rey being like, I'm no one, whatever.
Yeah. Immediately makes it look like a fan-made trailer.
Right, because you're like, why didn't they just put in some cool music? Because then last couple weeks ago, we just got the Visions trailer, which is something completely different with completely cool music that fits it. And it's so awesome. And you're like, James, we always talk about how cool trailer music is.
Absolutely.
So I always look forward to trailer music. And it felt like, I don't know, it was kind of just like a wah. But anyway, this game looks really, really good. I will be getting it. I've played some of the Lego ones here and there. I think I rented a Lego game a while ago. But this one just looks really, really good, that you can play like all these different locations and all these different characters. I love the little like cutscenes that they added in of the Lego humor that we got from like, the holiday specials and stuff like that. But yeah, I'll totally be playing this. I am disappointed that it's not coming out this year because I agree. I think it's like a perfect kind of holiday season kid under the tree type game. Yeah. Spring, I'm wondering if they're going to hold off until right before Celebration, because May is in that period that it's right before summer hits and they can call it spring, but it's not June, which is clearly summer. So I'm wondering if they're going to hold for Celebration. That's my question.
When does summer start? Is it not
June 21st?
June 21st. Okay, yeah.
Is the first day of summer,
almost July. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, so when I hear spring, I usually think April, May. Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, no, I'm very excited about this game. It looks really cool.
I wonder if they'll have it out ahead of Celebration so that they could have people play it in consoles
like a booth?
at Celebration
That would be
or something.
cool.
Yeah.
They could still do that though, and have you remember going to like Walmart and playing the demos of the games and stuff.
I thought you were gonna say Guitar Hero. I was like, yes, I do, Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
Or was that game, James, you played at Celebration, the Vader Immortals, right?
Vader Immortal.
Yeah.
That was cool. Yeah.
I love this. I love the Lego Star Wars games. I had the old ones for PS2. I think it was PS2. And they were a lot of fun because I don't like being stressed out when I play video games. And sometimes these modern video games are like really complicated and I don't like being bad at things. So like even when I was playing Squadrons, there's just so much going on your screen and there's so many controls you need to know what to do. I was just like, I don't know if I want to play this anymore. And it doesn't mean it's a bad game, but like I'm not a big gamer like Lacey is, and a lot of our listeners are. So this is, I love the game for its level of innocence, but more so because, you know, people don't get to have to take it seriously. There's just absolute silliness going on, and it brings a levity to Star Wars that I think Star Wars fans need a reminder of. But also, it's a game like anyone could play. You could pick it up, and you don't have to worry about like, oh, where did I leave off and stuff. Sure. And it has its journey, but I love that it's going to encompass that whole episodic saga. And I think I'm going to buy this game. I think I will actually willingly pick this game up for my PS4 and have it on one of those things where on the rare chance I get some downtime, I pop down and play some Lego Star Wars. And I think that sounds like a lot of fun. It's stress-free. It's not like this big canon implication like everyone losing their mind about Fallen Order and are they going to make him, are they going to bring him to live action, do a series? It's like, no, this is just Lego Star Wars. It's all the characters you love. There's random like vegetables flying around. It's like crazy. So I'm all in on this. I'm down to buy this game. I think it's a lot of fun. I hope they make more Lego Star Wars. Do a Lego Star Wars Mandalorian. Do Lego Star Wars Solo. Do Lego Star Wars everything. I always loved this stuff. And the fact that I liked it back then, now we're going to see it with a little bit of better graphics. I'm dialed in, so I'm digging it.
You have a PS4?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, this game on a PS4 will still be playable for a very long time if you have the physical copy or whatever of it, which means that your kids are probably, this will be something that they could pop in when they get to the point at which
I was going to
start
ask James, is this something Bennett would play with you?
He's not.
Or sit and watch while you play?
Maybe, but I don't know. The thing about it is, like, I've watched Bennett play the games that he plays, and he's just not quite there as far as like coordination of trying to do certain things. He definitely has tried to play, Sonic and stuff. We've plugged up like the Sega, and he gets really into it, but he can't. He can like make the character walk, but he doesn't have any sort of coordination.
Does he run out of time? That is the worst.
Oh yeah, it's definitely that. Yeah, it's like he's just stuck on the
where
first,
there's no time on these games.
Jump,
it's just you can jump around and there's no time.
Yeah.
But no, the interesting thing about these games is I understand they update the graphics and they kind of rebuild them, remake them, and bring it. They've had new ideas on maybe how to play them, but they always still essentially kind of feel the same to me. And I remember purchasing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 as a package on my phone, iOS. That all of that, and
wow.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. And technically I still own it because I could go re-download it. I'm pretty sure that it would probably still play on whatever device I have. That was maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that. And I don't know. So when I see this, I go, man, this is, I have to imagine some people feel like they already have this and they're just rebuying it, because it's like an updated version or something. But it definitely, I know that I got the impression from this that it was just so vast.
Expansive,
Yeah, like so many different planets, so many different characters.
They show
so
the
many
map at the one point and you're like, oh my gosh, look at all the places you can go.
Yeah, it almost feels in a way like, I don't know that this is part of the game. They obviously haven't explained a whole lot about it, but it just felt to me like if I wanted to play like in the prequel era a scene but be Lando Calrissian, like I could, I could just like kind of see the world as if he was in at that moment or something like that. It just kind of gives you this fun perspective on being able to shift things around and do different things. Oh, I want to be Boba Fett and fight Darth Vader, that's cool, whatever. So it definitely looks like something when you buy it you're going to be able to have what feels like a collection that only those crazy people who will try to Jedi master this thing and get like 100%, only like, 100 people in the world or something like that, because it's just so much content, so many little Lego pieces to connect. It would be nearly impossible.
And I'm sure they have all these little side missions and side collecting things and
absolutely. Yeah. Deep in there.
And I wonder if they're going to have like new, maybe not new, but things that you're going to see in this game that they'll release as actual Lego sets that you can then people are going to buy and build and that sort of thing.
Moving on to the next story, the Mandalorian is warming up for its second Emmy season, in which it will fight for 24 nominations in 19 different categories. And in the process of preparing for that, getting everybody on board, excited about the Mandalorian, IndieWire did an article, and in the article you can see a video that talked a lot about the production design and how they went into making a lot of the stuff that you see in season 2, including that fortress. I actually don't know the name of the planet off the top of my head. Do you, either one of you remember it? No. I can't remember. Where we first saw Ahsoka.
Corvus.
Yeah. Where we first saw Ahsoka, and
Corvus,
you can
Corvus, Corvus.
Doug Chiang specifically go through the process of telling a story about this planet using no words, and how they used visual and production design and everything that goes into it to make this planet and these worlds exist in Mandalorian Season 2. It is a great article. John, I wanted to start with you. I'm sure you checked out the video. What were your thoughts on a lot of this?
It's again one of those reminders for the lazy fan argument about Star Wars is taken over by Disney now. It's like you have all these people who have been at Lucasfilm for decades who are still there, from like Hal Hickel, Doug Chiang, Robert Doe, all these people from Skywalker Sound to ILM, still a part of making this franchise. And so anytime someone like Doug Chiang gets to be interviewed and speak on what they're doing, it's just a reminder of how it's a lot more of the same than some people give it credit for in terms of how Star Wars is developed. And hearing, anytime Doug Chiang talks, you listen, especially after he gets kicked out of a panel that he's supposed to probably be a part of at Celebration 2019. Good job, security. But anyway, him saying, and you guys know I love this because I have this argument all the time with friends of mine who are fringe Star Wars fans. They're like, Star Wars is sci-fi. I'm like, no, it's not. It is a fantasy story that happens to take place in space. And the fact that he has this quote right here, that he says, this goes back to the sort of classic ideas from George Lucas, which is Star Wars is really historical drama. We're not really creating sci-fi environments. These are grounded environments as if it's on a real different place. So again, I love that they are keeping that tradition alive and remembering what Star Wars is. And it's more about the characters and the stories and the mythology of fantasy storytelling. It is not sci-fi. I know it's, sometimes if you go to, Walmart or something, if you go to the sci-fi section, you'll probably see Star Wars in it, but it's wrong. So I love this stuff. And I really did like how that episode looked, the Jedi that Dave Filoni directed. I thought it had a very I don't know how to say this, a very historic look to it. And seeing these videos, I'm a big behind the scenes nerd. I love all that type of stuff. So anytime I get in terms of like extra Star Wars content, I'm not so much as a canon book reader. This is the stuff that gets me and draws me in. And then hearing them talk about how in depth they went into try to recreate Luke's costume, I thought was so comforting, knowing that they go to the finest detail to try to even find the type of fibers and fabric used to create his costume back in 1983 that maybe even George Lucas would have overlooked if he was still running things. Like in the prequels, there were a couple things you're like, that doesn't really look like Chewie to me. That looks a little off or something. It's like they're even better now than they were 20 years ago at making sure these things are preserving the continuity and that they are taking every little detail seriously. So this type of story, just to wrap my point up, is just a reassurance to me that Star Wars and Lucasfilm is still in good hands in terms of the people molding the clay and making the shows and making the movies. They're still all there and they're still doing it, just with better technology now, and that can only make them even better. So this is I need more of this, please.
Lacey, you got to check out these videos, look over the article. What were your thoughts?
I did get to check these out, James, and they were wonderful.
Yeah.
I love Doug Chang, and I say that in a way that I've never met him or spoke to him or anything, but like just his presence alone is very calming and like wonderful, that anytime he speaks, you're like, ah, yes, settle in. It's Doug Chang telling you a story about Star Wars. And he's so knowledgeable in everything that he does. And the way his brain works, I know we've talked about this on the show before, is like, he's described the way he works on ships, and he's like, hold on, let me just come up with this brand new ship that you can never even fathom in 5 minutes. And you're like, what? But something that really stuck out to me was him talking about how, the one quote that immediately jumped out was when he said that it's 80% stuff that you know, 20% stuff that you don't know. And that's how they operate when making things that are in the Star Wars universe. It's 80% of it looks like something that you could point out in real life and say, I know exactly what that is or where that influence came from. And then there's this 20% that they add in that is just true to Star Wars. And that goes into what John was saying before about the historical drama and it being a grounded environment. It was super interesting to hear him talk about how for the Jedi episode, they used influence from the Northern California wildfire locations. So they went through and like shot footage of how the light hits the smoke through the trees and like all these things, and how they tried to replicate that environment on this planet to show the drama of like what was done on here. So that was really cool. And then going back to what John was saying with the costume, that also was something very, very fun to watch, because from my own experience of just being a part of the fan community and working with Lucasfilm with costume exhibits, one of the most fun things is when I was working on the Solo one and we set all the costumes up, I let the Rebel Legion come through, and the 501st too, like the costume groups, and let them take pictures the day before it opened up to everybody else, because they want to know every single detail of these costumes so that they can replicate them in cosplay and stuff. So to see that they also do that in costuming and professional Star Wars shows is just really fun. And I think encouraging to people that do cosplay that like, hey, they're doing exactly what you're doing, so keep doing it. You know, it's just really cool. And that John said, you know, they want to stay true to what Star Wars is. And that goes from what Doug Chang said all the way through these videos of like, they're still living by this guideline of this is what George started. And yes, we're pushing it forward and trying new things, but we're still staying grounded in what George initially wanted and grew and created, which is really great.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to say that you guys haven't, because you guys have really nailed down exactly every element to this as far as how much these people obviously care, how they've been around for a very long time. We've talked about that numerous times. Even in this episode you mentioned earlier, John, like they're going to comb through all the dialogue and make sure everything works. And I just remember saying there's a reason why Wedge isn't in Rogue One. It's because they wanted to preserve the line. Look at the size of that thing. So it's the first time he ever saw it. They can't have him in Rogue One. Boom. So it's just like eliminate this huge character that could have been awesome in the movie theater. Can't have it.
I'm sure someone brought it up where they're like, oh, let's get Wedge in there too. And someone's like, nah, man.
Yeah.
Remember that line? They're like,
Yeah.
And going through this article, you know, I called my friend at Skywalker Ranch and asked her to photograph every single inch of his original black Jedi costume. They measured every fold, the width of the belt. I had every single bit of information, what kind of fabric they used, close-ups of the weave. I even had them show me the seam allowance. You know, it's like all that type of stuff. It boggles my mind that when you can be on the internet and read a tweet that says these people don't care, it actually makes it a lot easier to dismiss that content or that opinion and just go, well, this person obviously hasn't looked hard enough to see that there are people working for these companies that really, really, really do care. Or in your case, you pointed out Doug Chang, who had been there before this was even, I mean, decades before this is even really like a concept of selling it to this other company, Disney. You know what I mean? And I imagine how many changes those people would actually say, like, well, how is working for this company, working for Star Wars, different now that Disney is? And they'd be like, not all that different, really, you know?
Yeah.
That's how I imagine the answers would be.
Someone had told me who had worked for Disney that they were told a part of George Lucas's sale to Disney was in the contract was the preservation of Lucasfilm, and so that to make sure that they didn't break it up and deconstruct, and like that was like a big part of the sale. It was that he made sure those people were taken care of and that sort of thing, because that's George Lucas is the guy who donates almost all of his money to charities. Like he wanted to make sure I think the hardest part, as I understand it, of him selling Lucasfilm was worrying about the people at his company. And I think part of the sale was you don't pull any nonsense. Like I'm not selling you this unless we have it in writing that you're going to take care of my company and my people and that sort of thing, and let them police themselves in terms of, if we're going to let someone go, it's going to be under our umbrella and that sort of thing. Except of course, if Disney wants to get rid of the president of, the company or whatever. But, yeah. I just wanted to throw that in there, just because it's just, I think that's an important thing. Again, the legacy of George Lucas and who he kind of was as a guy. I say it like he's dead. He's still alive. Who he was as a leader of Lucasfilm, or as a filmmaker. Yeah.
I do want to mention there was a part of this article that I didn't bring up that I wanted to, and I totally forgot, which was them talking about CG versus using a puppet for Baby Yoda. And they said that they do everything largely practical. And even when they use CG, they do limit themselves to something that the puppet can or can't. Like, they won't go past what the puppet can't do. So I thought that was really cool. And I wanted to throw that in there because, as you guys know, I'm a huge puppet person.
And I remember seeing Luke's costume from Return of the Jedi at the Power of Costume, I think it was called, in New York City, where they...
Yeah, I saw that. Times Square.
Yes. And they brought all the costumes in from the whole saga. It was right as Force Awakens was coming out. Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing Luke's costume and then Leia's costume. And it was that moment that I realized how small Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher were.
Yes. And Natalie Portman.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, and speaking of that, if you want to go over to the article and check it out, we have a catalog of all the different videos that came out and a little bit more like links to the actual articles where they were talking about it. But it talks more about the costumes, like we kind of discussed. It talks about Mandalorian cinematography, which is actually a different article, different video, very similar but different on Hollywood Reporter. So there's a lot there if you want to go check out this article. It is in the link of the video on YouTube. It's in the description. It's in a link. That's how links work, guys.
Yeah.
That is it for the Resistance Report, other than a couple quick stories that we wanted to mention, which are it was kind of let out of the bag on accident. Oops. But HASLAB now officially...
I eat my words because I was like, no, there's no way they would do that. And then they did it. And I was like, oh, Patrick, why?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think even his comeback was, I didn't mean the next one's a Rancor. I was working on something Rancor for something different or something like that. It was like, no, you just
He's so nice,
scrambling.
Too. Poor Patrick.
Yeah. But it is officially out of the bag now. Hasbro announces HASLAB Star Wars Rancor campaign will kick off this fall. If you guys are at all interested in what they've done with... say like the Razor Crest, and then they had Jabba's sail barge before that. Go and check this out and grab yourself a HASLAB Rancor, Black Series Rancor, tentatively priced, I don't know, somewhere in the range of like $300 or $400. We're just kind of guessing.
Yeah, it's going to go live this fall. I'm sure. Mm-hmm. I bet they're going to announce all the details at the PulseCon later. Couple weeks, month, yeah.
Last thing we wanted to mention too is that there is a company who is currently working on they've been working on digital remakes of certain games, including the possibility of Knights of the Old Republic. But as of now, they've remade Star Wars Republic Commando, and they've remade Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, as well as Star Wars Racer. And all of those games have been re-released as digital formats for the Switch and for the PlayStation 4. However, it looks like they might actually be getting physical releases here for those same consoles and systems. So if you are interested in picking up a physical version of any of the games I just mentioned, now might be the time. So you're probably going to want to go keep a close eye on what's going on there. You can read more about it on Star Wars Newsnet. Like I said, links, that's how links work. Also, just side note, personal note for me, I'm dead serious. Why is Racer not on iOS? Why is it not a mobile game? I would buy it in a second. Why it's taken this long? You're releasing it as a digital version on the Switch, but the number one gaming platform in the world that everybody already owns is right here. Put it in my hand and I will buy it.
I have very fond memories of playing N64 Racer and like hammering Taco Bell as like a 16-year-old.
I mean, if you can put the Lego game episodes 1 through 6 on iOS and I can download it and play it, give me Racer. Give me Racer. Been asking for it. That is it. That's all there is for Resistance Report this week. We're going to head into our next section, which Lacey is going to introduce. What's it called, Lacey?
Guys, it's time for the Patreon pod race. So there are lots of ways you can support us. You can follow us on all the audio apps. Spotify is our fave. Or on YouTube, you can like, comment, subscribe. On Twitter at RBATSWN, or on Instagram at The Resistance Broadcast. But if you want more from us, including exclusive content, videos, Discord access, mailings, and much more, you can head over to patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast. Starting at $2 a month, you support the show and what we're doing here and what we plan to do in the future in talking about Star Wars and creating a fun community. So this is the part of the show where we let our generals and spice runners be a part of the show by asking them a question. But before I do that, I want to thank some people. So thank you to our Patreon generals, CARMELO, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, John Reese, Jetta Rosewater, Paul Olson, Jake Houchins, Oliver Lewis, Frank Grande, Haas, Joe Ritchie, Darth Hurricane, John Chorlton, Nick Kratz, Christian Morales, Brian Smith, Matt Chitty, and Val Trichkoff. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
I'm going to breathe here.
Yes.
And then our Spice Runners, David Probus, Neil Shaw, Double C Chris, Kendall Gelnar, Ryan Wara, Dave Hornack, and Micah Harrison. Thank you guys so much. So this week we have General Andrew Staley.
Woo! Andrew.
Who is one of our oldest buddies.
Longest
Generals, NASCAR loving Andrew. So we asked him, after seeing his appearance in the Mando Season 2 finale, do you want to see more of Luke Skywalker in the Mandalorian era? Why or why not? Andrew, take it away.
I wouldn't mind seeing Luke more in the Mandalorian era, but only if they use him sparingly, where his appearance really lends emotional weight to the story, just like in the Mandalorian Season 2 finale. If you overuse the character, I think it'll take away from the thing that makes his appearance special. So, love to see Luke at some point more in the Mandalorian era, but only if it really brings some emotional weight with it, like it did. So, that's all I got for you guys. Thanks a lot. I hope everyone's doing well, and may the Force be with you. And see you all in Anaheim next May.
Awesome job, Andrew, per usual. We love having you on the show. John, what'd you think?
Great answer. I feel like I'm exactly that in terms of how I feel about using Luke. I think we may have touched on that before on the pod about wanting to see more of Luke, but being a little worried about the overusage. But I think you put it perfectly, that as long as it lends itself to the story and makes sense and it doesn't feel like, just take the Luke Skywalker, you're going to enjoy it. Like, you know, so you put it very well there, Andrew, as you usually do. And the wall of action figures, I was trying to zoom in, but I couldn't figure out how to zoom in on a video. So I was just like squinting, trying to look for some of the cool figures there. But I like the setup you got there as always. The one thing that you really caught me with though, Andrew, is hearing someone else tell me I'll see everyone in May at Star Wars Celebration. Hearing you say that, especially after us hanging out last time, I know we're going to talk to you obviously a lot before then, but the fact that you're just like putting it out there again just reminds me we are going to be together. We are going to be at Celebration, and it's going to be a wonderful thing. So thanks for that reminder at the end of your pod race there, buddy. Great job, as always, and thanks for your support, man.
James?
No, I think you nailed it on the head there, Andrew, that it's going to be difficult to try and ride the line, but as we talked about on the gallery, I trust these people very much so with the characters and how they've handled everything thus far. There is always that possibility that we brought up that this introduction to Luke was just that, the introduction. The idea, the pitch to Hamill was, maybe a little bit more. So it is interesting that there is that possibility that Luke might be back. And like I said, it's going to be riding that line. And I think you're really on it with that, understanding that you can't have too much of him, or else it just might become a little bit too force-fed. So you are feeling the pulse, man. You got it exactly as I think it should be. Great pod race. Always good seeing you. See ya in May.
Well done, Andrew. I, per usual, am jealous of your background because I want all of your things. Most importantly, the TFA poster, because as you know, I'm a huge Force Awakens fan. But well done. I agree. I think as a really, really big Luke fan myself, I don't want to see him too much because I feel like people are like, enough with Luke. And I don't want people to ever say that. So I think there is a balance there. I feel like someone said that. Doesn't Ray say that? It's a balance.
A balance?
I feel like they say that a lot in Star Wars.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, there's a specific line I'm thinking of in my head from a trailer. I can't remember what it is. Anyway, Andrew, great job.
She's like meditating on the rock in TLJ. She's like, a balance.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I never thought about it like that before.
Back to John.
All right, so we have a few minutes here. So I have to admit something. I am horrible at directions. Like when I have to put things together, I'm not good. Sometimes I try to wing it. So Lacey, you have this, right?
Yes.
How do I? They gave me another piece, like a flashlight that goes on the side of it.
Yeah.
Have you looked into this? Did you like hook your batteries in and figure out how to hook up the flashlight and all that stuff? Like, what is going on with this thing?
So I haven't hooked it up yet, but it's in the side. You take the piece off and then the other piece hooks in and then the batteries go into the side.
And for the audio listeners, I'm talking about the Mandalorian helmet, the Black Series helmet. Mm-hmm. It has like, I didn't even know he had that. I forgot he even had that.
Yeah, he has the Boba Fett thing that goes.
So one of these
parts.
Well,
not that. He has a flashlight part.
Do I have to take it off, like screw it off from the inside?
No, it's a piece that slides off on the outside. It like clips in and then you clip it back in. There are directions inside the box though.
Yeah, I hate directions. You know what it is? I'm always afraid I'm going to snap something off.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
you know what I mean?
It shows you step by step how to do it.
Yeah, but sometimes it's like remove the plate and you're like, it's not coming off.
Yeah.
And you're like, so I see what it says, but that's clearly not the right way to do it. And sometimes it just takes that extra force. And once you know how much force it takes.
Yeah, which
the
side?
Right side, I think. Like if I'm looking at you, I think it's this side.
Does it slide up?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I wouldn't do it really hard.
Oh. Imagine I snapped my black.
The batteries definitely go either in the side or right inside the helmet on the side.
John, YouTube is your friend. Why don't you look up somebody on how to replace...
The buttons are here, so you're right. It is this side, for sure. I just got to figure out how to get this bad boy off so I can get my flashlight going.
So everyone that has one, put in the comments step by step.
He already has step by step.
You know what's good about this? I can, even though, like, obviously you don't see very well. I have.
Were you pumped when you put it on?
I was it was way cooler than even the Luke X-Wing
Has
helmet.
Johnny worn it yet?
He has. Yeah.
Nice.
And my dog hates it.
Because you can't see the face. The dogs get scared.
Yeah.
But he hates it in general now because I had it on my coffee table and my dog came down. I work from home. My dog came down just to hang out with me and I was on a call with a client and he starts barking at this damn thing. I was like, oh no,
it's
Mando!
He probably sees he feels like it's looking at him.
Yeah. Well, I guess the flashlight's good though, because my son leaves a lot of toys all over the floor, so I can use that so I can navigate if it's dark at night. Wear my Mando helmet.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
So on that note, stay tuned, everybody, whether or not I break my Mando helmet, and if you do have advice on how to easily hook this thing up, because I don't.
Todd knows. Todd actually explained it to me at one point, and I have forgotten the specific directions.
Todd, this is your test. This is the test to see whether Todd listens to the end of the show. Todd, if you're listening, watching, Hit me up.
Todd's in his helmet right now being like, I've been summoned.
It's like a Rubik's Cube for me, and Todd's like, boop, 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 done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't like the written directions that come in those little books. So if anyone wants to hook
I remember
me up,
him telling me
let's do
right
it.
side slides off, battery slide in type thing. And then you have to take a piece off to put the other piece on, because you want the helmet like normally, and then if there's a light part, it's kind of like an action figure. Like if there's a light part, one piece comes off to put the other piece on.
Those are all the directions and the extra piece there. And Grogu's had enough of it. He tried putting it together. See him back there. He's face down. He's finished. All right. Well, that takes us to the end of the show. So I want to thank everybody for listening and watching, being a part of TRB. We love you all out there. Thanks for keeping Star Wars fun on our neck of the woods here. Make sure you do subscribe to the show. You can do so, as Lacey said, anywhere where you get your podcasts. And also, of course, youtube.com/Star Wars Newsnet videos if you're watching. Thanks for that. StarWarsNewsNet.com. James put it great before. All your Star Wars news. Also, not just news. Sometimes we get scoops. Sometimes we have reviews. We do editorials. We do the book discussions. We do everything in terms of Star Wars news related to Star Wars news and opinion. StarWarsNewsNet.com. And things are going to be starting to heat up because 3 plus months till Book of Boba Fett, and then 2022 is going to be like shot out of a cannon. So go to StarWarsNewsNet.com every day. You can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey, and writing and editing at StarWarsNewsNet.com, and my movie podcast, Just Like the Movies. Next week we're doing Heat, another Val Kilmer movie.
I had to film a scene from that for my film 101 class in college.
Really?
Like remake
I
had to be the girl from Heat with some guy, and we had to do the lines. I remember.
Ooh. Do you still have it?
I don't know. It's probably on someone's hard drive somewhere. I don't have it.
All right. No. Well, if you find it, I'm very interested.
No one's interested. No one's interested.
All right. Just me. All right, James. How about you, buddy?
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at MyerTrunks, and on this channel again tomorrow when Kyle and I release the book discussion and what happened in Star Wars, Tempest Runner, The High Republic.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
so many titles.
Yeah, it is they want all the names in there. They want you to know it's High Republic. They want you to know it's Star Wars. But no, it is an audio drama, much like the Dr. Aphra and the Count Dooku one before it, Jedi Lost. But it is like a 6-hour book that you can just listen to. It plays out kind of like an audio book. But it has a full cast and interesting, very, very cool read. We actually both really liked the book. So go and check out the discussion. You can actually buy it and breeze through it and then check out the discussion. That it's pretty good for that. But if you don't, we have the what happened in, so you can just understand exactly what took place in the story.
Describe it in one word.
Yeah. Hi.
What was the word? Defining.
Ooh, that's an interesting choice of word. Okay.
Or redefining.
Redefining. Ooh, that's a bold choice. It's a bold move, Cotton.
I like when I added that. How about redefining?
What?
Oh my God, it's too much.
That's how it works, right? I just keep adding re's and I get better results.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that's how I keep up with my High Republic. I can't even remotely keep up with what they're doing over there. So those videos are key for me. But Lacey, what about you? What's going on?
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gilleran.
All right. We'll be back on Thursday where we are going to have a discussion. And let me tell you, folks, we are going to talk about why Luke Skywalker should appear in the Ahsoka series. So we're going to have a fun discussion chatting about that as we talk about, more Luke showing up, right? But we'll see everyone on Thursday morning with another episode right here on the Resistance broadcast. We'll see you around, kids.